Cool. So, members of the jury, this is the moment I met Love. Love, as you may recall, is the puppy I took into my arms from a concrete cage at MBR Acres. Minutes later, he was taken from me and put in the back of a police car. And as I watched from the back of the adjacent police car, I saw him licking the policewoman's face, climbing on her lap, and wagging his tail. I watched her playing with him through the window. I could see it. She wanted the best for him too. Of course she did. She was a human being holding a beagle puppy, and there is only one way that feels. But the powers that be overruled her and the thousands of people that called for Love to be freed. And sadly, Love was returned to MBR Acres. I have thought so many times about the life he almost had. He was so close to safety. He could have come home to me, to London, to me and my husband and our dog, Oliver. He could have had toys, a soft bed, the freedom to run on Hackney Marshes each morning, just as all dogs deserve. Instead, he went back to being number OM21066, one of many, in a concrete cage covered in urine and feces, with an empty barrel and a ball hanging from a chain. And from there, I don't know. Either his blood was drained from his body until there was nothing left for his heart to pump, or he was shipped to a lab and used in experiments until he was no longer useful and was put to sleep. I will never know which, but I do know he is gone. Every single puppy you saw in that footage has gone, every one. So I want to ask you something. I've described 2 lives for Love. One is a concrete cage, a ball on a chain, a needle in the heart, and a serial code for a name. The other is a soft bed, walks in the outdoors, and a family who names him Love. Which of those 2 lives represents who we are as a nation of animal lovers? Which one is honest and decent, and which one hides what it does behind closed doors, behind systems designed so that most people never see what's happening inside? We did not hide. We showed you everything. We filmed it and we published it. We told the world what we had done. And we did this because there is a world we're trying to build. Not a world without rules, but a world that lives up to the values that we already hold. A world where ordinary people, when they see an animal suffering and scared, do not feel compelled to give up or look away. Where the instinct to help is not punished but celebrated. Where Love's story does not end at 16 weeks in a concrete cage, but after growing old with a loving family. And Love deserved that world. So do all the ones who came after him. And that world is possible, it is kind, and it's honest. And now it's over to you, members of the jury. The decision is in your hands to decide whether this was a burglary or a puppy rescue. Thank you. My name is Rose, and I'm the director of Animal Rising, and that was part of my closing statement that I read in court just over 2 weeks ago. And a few days later, the jury came back with their verdict, and we were found not guilty for rescuing those beagle puppies. And we can apply learnings from the beagle rescues and those trials to other issues. And I also just couldn't stand here and not talk about beagles today because it's been a big week, or a big few months for beagles. And I know that all of you understand that when I talk about Love, Love doesn't just represent the beagles at MBR Acres. Love represents all animals trapped in cages and those that end their lives in slaughterhouses or in a lab. The principles that we applied to the rescue and the trial are the principles that we apply to all of our work in Animal Rising and all of the projects in our network. So there have been 4 trials so far, and we've had 2 guilty verdicts and 2 not guilty verdicts. And Ben, Bo, and Dan are currently in the middle of a trial, and hopefully in a few days we'll have that verdict. But there are a range of reasons for guilty verdicts, and a key one being that even when the jury believe that we did the right thing morally, the route to acquittal is confusing, or they're uncertain whether they have the power to find us not guilty. So during our trial at one point, the jury passed a note to the judge, and it read, "Could the judge advise how the jury navigates what appears to be a complicated matter of seemingly evolving social justice, where perhaps the current law and at the time of the alleged offense may be lagging behind the social, moral, and ethical views of an ordinary, decent person." So the law is lagging behind the social, moral, and ethical views of the general public. The public are on side. A few days ago, Soleil from Camp Beagle sent me a voice note, and she told me that a woman had come to Camp Beagle that day to visit, and the first thing that she said to Soleil was that she'd come to see if this place really existed. She'd come to see with her own eyes. And when Soleil asked her how she found out about Camp Beagle and MBR Acres, she told her that she had been a member of the jury on that trial. And she was so moved by what we told her, what we told the rest of the jury, that she felt compelled to go down there, travel to MBR Acres to see for herself. And I believe that we transformed her and others in that courtroom that day. So I believe the rescue and the trial has reached people who are not already in this movement. We've inspired the general public, non-vegans, people who've never thought about animal rights. We took risks, we've told the truth, we're non-violent, we lay all of our cards out on the table, and the jury isn't always going to quit, but this proves that it is possible. We can transform people, we can transform laws, and we can transform society. And we have the data to prove that we are building support. So just since December, which is incredible, since December, when trial 1 began, we've had over 30 million impressions across 3 social media platforms, 200,000 followers on social media, over 170,000 petition signatures, and that's really important because all of those people are now part of the team. They've joined our mailing list, and now we can communicate with them and build that support, keep them going on this pathway, on their journey. We've had 73 press mentions, an open letter signed by Joanna Lumley, Amanda Holden, Jonathan Ross, 50 MPs, and yeah, of course I'm talking about beagles and dogs, and I'm not saying it's as easy with factory farming, but I believe that this shows that we can find ways to inspire the public if we're bold and build that support. And another thing that I think we did with these rescues and trials has inspired the movement. Because last Sunday, just a week ago, I was sitting at home in London watching the live stream of my husband, Wayne Sheng, and 100 others break into Ridgeland Farms and rescue another 22 beagles. And if we hadn't done the rescue back in 2022, that probably wouldn't have happened. I think we're inspiring the movement to be bolder and act more. And so how do we end factory farming from these learnings? How do we go from puppies to piglets and chickens and fish? Well, first of all, I would say we already know that the majority of the public are already on our side. We know that as a conservative estimate from Social Change Labs, 56% of the public are against factory farming and actually want to see a ban, but other studies show up to 85% of the public want to see an end to factory farming. So we're already winning. We just need to find ways to reach the public and build support for the end of factory farming and actually make it happen. And so the key principles I want to talk about are nonviolence as being a key one, because if we want to build a movement to end factory farming, we must use nonviolence. It's not a passive stance, as some people may believe. It's active, and it takes courage. It's the principle that the means must match the end, that a just world cannot be built using violent methods. We also need to inspire the public and show them another world is possible through bold and transformative, inspiring actions, messages, and goals. And we didn't get a ban on fur farming by asking for bigger cages. Wales didn't ban greyhound racing because people asked for better welfare conditions. And like I said, I'm not saying that factory farming is easy to end, but it's only possible if we actually ask for it to end. We're not going to win if we don't act like we can win. And we'll see welfare improvements along the way, like we saw with the Grand National. When we disrupted that horse race, we were demanding that it ends, but we haven't achieved that yet, but we have seen welfare improvements like changes to the heights of fences and the number of horses on the racetrack. And finally, we need to welcome non-vegans or pre-vegans because most of them agree that these industries are unethical. They just don't have the solutions or the power to make the change. And so we need to bring people in to build that movement and be welcoming. And so later this year, Animal Rising will also be launching our End Factory Farming campaign. In a similar vein to what Project Slingshot are doing, we both ended on the same slogan, same demand, end factory farming, and I'm so excited to see what Project Slingshot are going to do, and I think it's perfect timing that we're launching this around the same time. And so we're going to be launching this sustained campaign over a long period of time, and the aim is to highlight the scale of factory farming because a lot of the public is still not aware of the scale, and the stories of the individuals that are suffering in these systems. We'll release the largest investigation in UK history, and this will beat our previous record of 45 farms. So over the last year, we've mobilized over 100 investigators to investigate over 130 factory farms, and they've been relentlessly investigating almost every single night for over 6 months. We've rescued animals from some of those terrible conditions, and we've got incredible stories to tell, and I wish I had more time to talk about what we're going to do. But I think you'll be aware when we launch the campaign. And this is just one way we're going to build support for the end of factory farming. But another way that we're going to see the end is one of our other projects that Maya's going to talk about, and that's Communities against factory farming. So I'm going to pass on to Maya, who will explain how these principles can be applied from Animal Rising's work in stopping new factory farms from being built. Thank you.
We had no idea that the screaming of the pigs would go on for so long.
I mean, that's horrendous, you know. I get this plague of flies every summer, and I'm talking about millions of flies.
The pollution seeps into the house. When you eat something, it tastes of urine. They're dead trees. All of those to the right there are dead. That's not autumn. All of those are dead. There's only 20 trees there.
It affects everybody. Lots of people didn't even know it was happening. Wall-to-wall chickens. All they have is each other, and they're all fighting for space. It must be awful.
I mean, do we really want people here coming to visit us with small children? Anyone with an underlying health condition? What kind of society allows that to continue?
Here with the Unstoppable Jan and the Unstoppable local residents, we are launching the Coalition Against Factory Farming. So this is going to be stopped, 0% chance it can be built. Jan, amazingly, got the Methwold factory farm rejected. However, the downside is for Anne, they will likely want to expand onto this side.
As soon as we got together, it was a feeling of not being on our own anymore.
This is just one of several planning proposals. Villagers have banded together to fight the plans.
It's brought the community together. We're not individuals anymore.
And that's the only way we're going to beat these mega businesses, through the power of the people.
It's certainly not something that we're going to stand by and let happen.
It's not just about our village, it's a much bigger picture.
Everybody's the same, we all want the same.
Our voice should be heard.
Coming together to do something worthwhile.
We've discovered a lot of new people down here because of this, and there's a friendship.
There's animal suffering, there's a community suffering. And waking up to that, my values have changed.
We're going to scale up so no factory farm will be built anywhere in the UK.
Campaigners are fighting plans for a new poultry farm.
Dr. Michael Ball says the farm will emit the same as a 7-kilometre stretch of the motorway.
Campaigners argue the whole model is flawed.
Now, if everybody did that, wouldn't it be marvellous?
It's CAF that's really out there empowering people to act.
We can all work together. This can be done.
A community where we consider one another,
for other people in the rest of the country. We can show this as an example that actually you can stand up.
Thank you. We'd like to thank our very own Nathan Davis, who put that entire video together. So we launched CAF just about 11 months ago, and I just want to give you all a few updates from the last year. This year we've blocked 3 new factory farms with legal action that would have killed 3 million animals. We are currently campaigning against 23 planning applications, every single one of which has been delayed. In total, 46 planning and permit applications, and we're keeping 40 million animals out of the food system with those delays. And that's also not including all the farmed fish and a mega incubator that I'm going to tell you more about that will kill almost 200 million broiler chickens a year. So it's not that surprising that the meat industry is concerned. They are calling us the biggest existential threat to their industry, and the National Pig Association has identified planning as their primary barrier to growth, and that's why we're focused on planning. This is a photo from a recent protest we held at a site visit with a local community in Thelneetham in Suffolk. Part of our strategy is to widen the umbrella. We keep hearing about how we need to be working with non-vegans, and that's one of the reasons why we're taking on this campaign. We want to build bridges with people who care about their community, their health, their environment, and also animal cruelty. We're also creating a broad volunteer network of vegans all across the country who live in these more rural areas who are able to go out and support their neighbors. And those just natural opportunities for people to come together and support each other we think are really important. Through our campaign, we're also educating both residents as well as the local decision makers and the councils, just through submitting strong evidence-based objection letters that raise all of the various issues about the harms of factory farming. And we really see this as reclaiming local democracies, because we actually have a planning public consultation process where any member of the public can share their views, can scrutinize the plans. And we're trying to empower residents to hold the decision makers and the factory farmers accountable and demand transparency. So for example, this lady, Sally, she is a hero in her community. She's fighting against a mega incubator where Cranswick plans to produce almost 200 million broiler chickens a year. She's been speaking out at local council meetings, getting all of her neighbors involved. She and her husband, Scott, they're business owners. She owns a natural spa supplies company. Scott is an architect. And they've really gone the extra mile. Scott has put forward alternative plans to have houses in the village rather than a horrific incubator. And they're also trying to save their local pub that's also at the site. So we want to support people like this and raise them up. They're also working with their local MP, and their story has gained a lot of press. We also see that our campaign is working. For example, at Cherry Tree Pig Farm, you saw Anne in the video, residents of Stowe Beedon have been campaigning against this pig farm where they have 7,000 pigs very close to homes for 4 years, waking up every morning with the odors and the air pollution and the sounds of pigs screaming. We got involved, we provided leaflets, objections. Many of you also objected from our mailing list. We submitted over 1,000 objections together based on legal issues with the application. And the council finally changed their mind and refused the application. But Cranswick is appealing, and we're helping to fundraise for the appeal. Part of our strategy is also one of strategic litigation. We want to change the law through the common law system by bringing cases and setting new case law precedents, and it's incremental. So it starts by raising objections based on the environmental impacts, the animal welfare, the climate impacts, the impacts on people, and just really holding the factory farmers accountable for everything that they're doing wrong. And then the next stage is anytime a factory farm gets approved, we're going to bring a judicial review on one or many of those grounds, and we hope to eventually get to the High Court and build case law on these many issues around factory farming. So far, we actually have been too successful, and every single council that we sued just gave up before we got to court. And we're also seeing a couple of small wins. So for example, recently we were at a planning meeting and there were 3 councillors there. They were debating whether or not to approve a mega chicken farm, and they said, actually, this is inhumane, and I'm going to reject this on animal welfare grounds. And we saw 6 councillors vote a rejection on animal welfare grounds, which would have been historic. Unfortunately, 7 voted to approve it. But the fight isn't over because we noticed that they hadn't even looked at the impact on the wildlife nearby, the wild birds, the plant life. And so it's just going to be delayed more and more. And we see that we need to use the law in creative ways to get these things delayed and rejected. We also saw a small win at the Cranswick's Cherry Tree Pig Farm when the council demanded an animal welfare assessment, which is, as far as we know, that's the first time that's happened, to be more transparent, demanding the factory farmers to be more transparent about how horrific the welfare is on these farms. And they still haven't provided it, but the fight isn't over because we're going to keep pushing for it. So our strategy is all about working in partnership with local people, local government, people from across the political spectrum, and raising awareness and trying to get factory farming to be more of a national issue in the conversation. But even so, you may be wondering, like, is this really a good strategy? Even 40 million animals, that's really just a drop in the ocean. So I'd just like to address some of those concerns. One of our concerns is that every new shed that's built is another 50 years of factory farming, and it's ultimately a sunk cost. The broiler industry wants to give birds 20% more space, but even at that stocking density, it's 3 times higher than what the European Commission has said is needed for basic animal welfare for chickens. And we know from the RSPCA investigations that Animal Rising did that even on these slightly higher stocking density farms, chickens are suffering a lot. It's still very unethical, and we've got the evidence to prove it. And I know you saw from the video, for example, Alistair, a 92-year-old man who's a Navy veteran, Navy diver veteran. He lives with flies in his home 6 months of the year. Every single new factory farm is a serious deterioration on the quality of life for people living nearby. And we think that we need to work together with these people and together with the climate and environment and public health interests in order to really end factory farming and not against them. Ultimately, we want to stigmatize factory farming, and in the long term, we want to put pressure domestically on the UK government. If we can end factory farming here, if we can make it unpalatable, completely stigmatized, eventually our government would be able to bring that to the world stage in trade deals. So I'd just like to ask you to take just 5 seconds out of your day right now to take out your phone, check this QR code, and what we're going to do is make that video go viral. So we know that the industry is very scared of these rural residents who they thought were their bread and butter supporters completely against them. So please do like and share this video right now. And also, if you're interested in working with us, please do get in touch. Come talk to us if you want to submit objections from your organization, or if you'd like to get involved in volunteering. We're fighting factory farm planning applications all across the country. Some of those places are on the screen. So please do get in touch with us. Thank you.